All right, my friends, welcome back to another episode. We're going to have another power hour together. J.R. Dukes at your service. Of course, this is the home of the free-minded. Welcome back. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Let me make sure everything's working good. I want to say a quick hello to everyone on the X platform. Welcome our friend on Twitch. And I think we're coming in nice and clear on... Yes, YouTube seems like it's working good. Hello, American Nana. Thank you for being here. Yeah, I understand some of y'all were saying that YouTube is not always working as far as some of the, I don't know, as far as some of the notifications are concerned. So all you have to do is check out the X platform. I'll start posting on X when I go live. Sometimes I go live 2 or 3 times a day. It just depends on the particular day. And, of course, you can find me on the X platform at Reach JR Dukes. All the other platforms is simply at JR Dukes, whether it's YouTube, True Social, or on Rumble. You can find me at JR Dukes. So, again, I appreciate reaching out to me and let me know that you were having issues with your YouTube working. So, I just put in the chat there that if you don't mind, introduce yourself. If you haven't done so already, let us know where you are from. The good thing about StreamYard right now is for people that wish to call in, because I always try to have an open conversation on all of my visits with my friends here, is you can follow the link that I just put in the chat. If you don't want to be on camera, no problem. You can call in a comment. If you would like to go ahead and actually be on video, you can do that right from your cell phone at the link that I just listed right there for you to respond to. So we are looking good. So we're going to start diving right into it. A lot of news happening today, a lot of interesting things happening, and Donald Trump is in the process of putting his cabinet together. We have a lot of legal news to start drilling down into, but I have to start off with this story here, because you remember that Lightman guy that we have talked about that was coming forward all over the news with his so-called keys. He's like, oh, I got these keys, and my 7 keys have never been wrong, except potentially for 2000, where he said Al Gore was going to win, yet George W. Bush won. And of course, his excuse, this guy's always got excuses, especially now. But the point was, is he's like, well, since it was a decision of the U.S. Supreme Court, he was technically right. So at any rate, I always wonder if these so-called pronunciators, if they're good at what they claim they can do, or if they are just full of hooey. And this guy is full of hooey. And I just love every time I catch him online trying to come up with an excuse as to what's going on. And in this particular video, this is on the Piers Morgan broadcast. It is fantastic because it's hilarious. The other guy in this program with Piers is he's one of the guys on the Young Turks program. You've heard me talk about that on here before. He is a self-defined liberal, and he loves bashing this Lightman guy, whatever his name is. Let's just call him the fake pollster, which I definitely think he is. But anyway, you're going to enjoy this because it is hilarious. And I like the way that the Young Turks sportscaster, or the broadcaster, he calls them out. He doesn't hold nothing back. And I think it was well-deserved, because let's be honest about it. I hate these charlatans, these fraudulent individuals that try to make us think they know everything. And what's even more hilarious is now that he was proven to be full of, you know what, he now is coming forward trying to blame everybody, including you. It's your fault because you are a ignorant voter. You're uneducated. And of course, he wants to blame Elon Musk because of misinformation, disinformation, aka the fake news. It's hilarious to listen to his excuses. But what's really cool is, let's listen to this Young Turks broadcaster take him to task, because friends, he tears them up. American Anna, thank you for letting me know you are hearing me nice and clear. It's always appreciated to have you in the chat along with our other friends. So once again, welcome. I am J.R. Dukes, your host, and we are starting right now. So let's dive right into this here. Here we go.
He is, and says he wants to be an authoritarian. That's all true. But I think a lot of the men said,
and again, this is a
we
Piers
like it.
Morgan show. The Young Turks guy is the guy with his eyes closed right next to Piers. And then the guy that I love to hammer, I'm going to minimize myself on the bottom here so you guys can get even a better sense of the action, because it is, I'm not trying to overblow this here. This is hilarious what happens with with this. As a matter of fact, that young guy, that young kid right there, second from the right, wait till you see his face expression. He reminds me of some of my kids. When something funny is happening, they'll cover their face and start laughing. It's worth the wait. So here we go. It starts right about now, and let's continue to listen in.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I mean, Professor Lichtman, you correctly forecast result of 9 of the past 10 U.S. presidential elections, but not this one. Like most pollsters, I have to say, very, very few people predicted a big win, other than I might, if I may be so modest, I did. I went on Fox News 10 days before with Brian Kilby and said, I think he's going to win big. But actually, most people thought we'd be incredibly tight and it could go either way and so on. But it wasn't that at all. Why do you think Trump is so difficult to poll, which is clearly the conclusion I would draw from this?
Well, you know, I am forthrightly willing to admit I missed this election. I still think I actually had 10 out of 10 before. I think I was right about 2000, but we're not here to live.
Yeah, as I said, he's going to tell you that he was right all the time versus allegedly 9 out of the 10 other times. And he's always got the same excuse. And I can assure you that this conceited, smug look on his face is going to go away very quickly.
Mitigate that. I still think it's a pretty good record. Now, I think two things are operating here. Number one, I was incredibly critical at the time of the spineless, cowardly Democrats openly and viciously trashing their elected president and their elected nominee right out there in the open.
Okay, so reason number one that he was wrong, it's the Democrats' fault. They were trashing their own candidate.
I have never seen that before, and I've studied American politics since the founding, and that tainted any nominee. And they're now taking no responsibility for that. They're blaming everybody else. Until they look in the mirror, the Democratic Party is going to be in trouble. Secondly, why?
Until he looks in the mirror and realizes how full of what he is.
Did my keys miss? Because my keys are based upon the proposition that a pragmatic, rational electorate decides whether or not the White House party is governed well enough to get 4 more years. That was exploded this time by a new wave of disinformation that we've never seen before. In addition to the usual sources of disinformation, we had a huge change this time. A 300 billionaire, a guy who's richer than most countries of the world.
So basically, you guys are not pragmatic. You're not intelligent. You've been misinformation, disinformation. And here's his slam on Elon.
World, who controls X, spreading vast disinformation. According to reports, billions upon billions of viewers saw his disinformation. People have a completely distorted view of the economy.
What was the disinformation?
Inflation is going up.
Let me pin you down on that, though. You say Elon Musk was spreading disinformation.
That's a good question.
Like what?
Yes. He is spreading vast disinformation that's sunk in. Even people who think their own financial situation is pretty good think inflation is going up when it's been cut by 75%, that unemployment
but it's still
is
inflation.
a near high when
it's still inflation,
near
Professor.
A low.
On that point, see, that's interesting. You would say that's disinformation, but the point is that inflation is still not zero. Therefore, prices are still going up. Therefore, people.
The only way you get inflation to zero is with a recession.
Yeah, but here's my point.
Obviously.
Here's my point. Yeah, but here's my point. Democrats kept telling the American people rather arrogantly, I thought, the economy's in really good shape. Meanwhile, inflation still exists. In other words, prices have continued to go up and up and up, albeit not at the same rate they were going up. But if it wasn't zero.
So basically, he's being questioned as to exactly what information was being disseminated. What was the misinformation, disinformation? What was wrong? What was not? And you're going to see this young Turks guy jump in.
It has been cut by 80%, but it's not just inflation that people are wrong about.
But do you accept inflation means prices are still going up? Do you accept prices were still going up?
Of course.
Right. So
they
that's
always
the point.
do, unless you have a recession.
That's not disinformation. That's
ridiculous.
Then, is it? By Elon Musk,
and it's disinformation about every other aspect of the economy as well. Disinformation about undocumented immigrants, like they're bloodthirsty killers. They are the most law-abiding segment of our.
And that's a complete lie. This is just outright lying about the immigration
crimes, including violent crimes, less than half of that of native Americans, and they don't drain our economy. They are the mainstay of the agricultural, construction, personal.
Well, you can ask New York City if they drained the American economy with people not able to find hotel rooms and all the expense that was spent from New York City, New York State on all these migrants. And let's see if they think they drained
Numbers
the
of
economy.
U.S. citizens, because all the databases used to identify undocumented immigrants are fundamentally flawed. You can't have a pragmatic electorate under these conditions, and the mainstream media is utterly feeble. It spends 20 times more time on meaningless polls within the margin of error than it does telling truth to power and indicating the consequences of this election.
But it is okay.
Being taken over by billionaires.
Okay, I'm going to come to Cheng. I mean, Cheng, the biggest deporter in American presidential history was Barack Obama, who deported over 3 million people. This idea that Trump is going to become,
you're going to see this guy. I guess they call him Cenk. He is a liberal, like I said. He is going to cause Littman to explode. Just watch his face as he gets more and more red.
Like disinformation. I think some of it.
He's gonna pull a full. Well, you'll see it.
Through right.
He's going to hold nothing. He's going to hold nothing back on him, ladies and gentlemen. I love this
delusion of the Democrats again.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I'm sorry, but I totally disagree with Juan and Professor Lichtman. Don't blame the voters. I think, look, we could get into this discussion, but Juan, I think you're blaming the voters. I think that's a terrible idea. And look, I debated Professor Lichtman before. I told him his theories about the keys were absurd. I was right. He was wrong. I said he'd lose his keys.
No, you were not right, and I was not wrong. And that's a cheap shot, and I won't stand for it.
Well, who won, brother?
You should not be taking cheap shots at me.
Who won?
You want to make your point,
live in a total world of denial.
I read your own followers' comments, and they all trashed you, every one of them, and supported me.
Yeah,
so
right.
With your personal attacks.
Come find out again.
Make whatever point you want.
Yeah.
Don't make it personal.
You don't know anything.
Don't make it.
You don't know anything.
You attacked me personally.
You're so deluded.
Right. I've only been a professor for 51 years.
On this program, I've never been able to finish a thought.
How many books have you published? No, because you're personally attacking me again. Say whatever you want, but I'm not going to stand for
brother, you got it wrong. You were preposterously and stupidly wrong. So, okay, all right. Can I just finish a goddamn thought ever on this show?
No, not if you're personally. I admitted I was wrong. I don't need you to call me stupid.
Okay.
I'll just say it's great to see you Democrats all getting along so well.
Manners?
It's lovely to see a post-election harmony as you all come together again.
Hey, Alan,
look at this young guy right here. Where if I get my finger?
Hey, Alan, you deserve a tall glass of shut-up juice. So can you just shut up for a second and let someone who knows what they're doing?
You're so right, Pierre. Okay? You're so right. We're so unified right now.
So I will not sit here and stand for personal attacks, for blasphemy against me. You don't need to do that. You don't
blasphemy against you. Who the hell are you? Are you Jesus Christ, you loser? Okay, can I just give the correct answer for once? Okay, here we go. So, guys, you're blaming disinformation. There was disinformation. There was the cats and the dogs nonsense. The points you're making about undocumented immigrants, I agree with, Alan, okay? But that didn't cost the election. The main disinformation was about how the election was going to be rigged. And it wasn't rigged. It was dumb. They won easily. There was no need for that disinformation. You guys are missing the whole point. The people who are at fault are not other people. It is the candidate, Kamala Harris, the previous candidate, Joe Biden, Democratic Party, Democratic leadership. You guys don't want to admit that they're the problem. They're the cancer in the Democratic Party. So you blindly lash out at the voters, at information, at social media, and you want to shut down anyone who disagrees with you. That's not the correct answer. There are three wings of the Democratic Party. There's the establishment wing that the great majority, almost everyone on television supports and kisses the ass of and does propaganda for. That wing has led to disaster. They lost to Donald Trump twice, nearly lost to him 3 times. And then the other wing is called the progressive wing, but those are two different sets of people. In the progressive, so-called progressive wing, what you have is the identitarian left, the people who do what the right wing would call woke politics and identity politics, and that is disastrous. That's what the trans ad was at the end, and it cost us. The most popular part of the Democratic Party is the populist left. That is the Bernie Sanders 2016 campaign. That part says, let's do super popular economic proposals like paid family leave, higher minimum wage, universal health care, public option. Let's do all of these things. And the establishment goes, no, our corporations don't want that. Our donors don't want that. So we'll just do identity politics. And maybe identity politics will unite the left. But it didn't. Identity politics led to disaster. It was a poison within the Democratic Party, used ironically by the establishment Democrats because they didn't want to talk about popular proposals that we have because their donors hate those proposals.
Okay, let me bring in Harry. Now, Harry, you tweeted or posted
these guys. This after I found this, I started looking online, and there's a lot of people talking about this, but the fact that he got old Leakman so wound up and so PO'd, I just loved it. And I'm like, I have to share this because this guy here, I thought he was going to have a stroke sitting right there in that seat. When he starts pointing that finger and stuff like that, he's getting extremely upset. I love it. I love it when all these liberals are fighting between themselves. Folks, they can't help themselves. I think that's probably the best way to say it. They just can't help themselves. They've lost. They lost in a spectacular way, and they're not getting along. And I mean, it's all over the internet, all over the news. It's not hard to find. It's not hard to find these Democrats basically cannibalizing one another. I mean, they are brutal. They are brutal. And this here was one of my favorites by far, especially seeing that so-called Professor Linkman sitting there and getting hammered by this other guy, whatever his name is, Chait, I think is what they call him. So it's hilarious. And I knew y'all would enjoy seeing that. These people never learn. These people are just, they're, the good news, if they continue doing the same old that cost them this particular election, I think that's fantastic because, my friends, what that will do for us is it will allow us to keep winning elections because they're not going to win if they keep playing these identity politics. I think that's about the best way to say it. If they keep trying to split us up all the time, if they keep wanting to push this liberal transgender nonsense, if they want us to believe that it's okay for men to use a women's bathroom, if they want to basically strangle our economy with this green new scam junk, it's just, we're tired of it. We've had enough. We're tired of being scolded that we're bad people, that we're racist, that we're misogynistic, that we're anti-everything. I'm sick of it. I'm absolutely sick of it, and I know you are too. And my friends, that's one of the biggest reasons that I can tell you that I am more than happy that Donald Trump has won and that good things are happening. Good times are ahead. And I'm very happy that President Trump is well on his way back to the White House, as I know you are. And amen to that, right? I think that's about the best way to describe it. So let me see my chats here real quick. Yeah, Zach, appreciate you being back with me, my friend. Thank you so much. If your YouTube is not working, and I've had some people report to me that sometimes they don't get the bell notifications, make sure when you subscribe that you actually turn on the actual bell. And because there's 3 or 4 different settings on there. And if you don't turn on the correct one, you won't get the bell notifications. Other than that, on my X account at ReachJRDukes, I'm going to start posting ahead of time as much as I possibly can that I'm about to go live. So I should show up in your alerts feed on the X platform. So that will kind of be like a double insurance on there. And of course, welcome to American Nana. Identity politics is ass or no way. Yeah, Zach, I think you might have missed that, but man, that was a good piece. So, Professor Linkman getting his body slammed by that guy from the Young Turks. I just absolutely loved it. Let's see, Zach, I hope they weren't online on a line when it started raining. These people were these guys are beating the what of each other. It's raining all over the east side of the country because I know you guys are on the east side, I believe. I know Zach is for sure. So, all right, my friends, let's go ahead and start diving into the feed that I got today. We got the JR Dukes feed. Matter of fact, here's me live on X. And of course, it's kind of interesting seeing myself kind of looping there. But at any rate, let's go ahead and dive right in. Lots going on today. And one of the subjects is obviously always this immigration. By the way, I want to take a quick moment to welcome or wish a happy birthday to President Joe Biden. Today is his 82nd birthday. And I believe I got a little video so we can see how well our president is doing on his 82nd birthday. All right, first off is this clip. Let's go ahead and start jumping right into it. We got Jesse Waters interviewing. This is the incoming, let's just call them the border czar. I'm not sure if they're going to officially go with that title, but this was last night on the Jesse Waters show, and he is talking about how he's going to handle this illegal problem that we have and how he's going to close the border.
When you hear these Democrat governors and people like AOC saying that they're going to block any attempt to deport, what's your reaction?
They're obviously not very smart because President Trump is clear. Out of the gate, we're concentrating on public safety threats and national security threats. What politician, whether you're a mayor or governor, is saying, no, I want public safety threats to remain in my community? I mean, give me a break. But, you know, ICE is going to do it. And here's the thing. They don't let us in the county jail to arrest a bad guy, which means...
You know what they should do, ladies and gentlemen, with these governors and mayors and all these people? Have you noticed they're trying to act like Donald Trump? I call it they're trying to be Trump. They're trying to put their toughest face on. They're trying to act like, hey, it worked for Donald Trump, so it's going to work for me. So you'll see these governors, these mayors saying, hey, if you try to come for my people, you got to come through me. All of a sudden, they're trying to be tough guys. Well, you know what they should do with these tough guys, these tough women, these tough mayors, governors? If they block the federal authorities and they are obstructing, they need to do that. Charge them with some type of obstruction offense on a federal level. Or, listen, there's a million different violations in the Code of Federal Regulations anointed that they can charge these governors, these mayors with. And I have a feeling at some point, Donald Trump, especially this guy is a boss. This Hoffman guy, he's not going to take it. I'm pretty confident of that.
They're going to release the bad guy back in the community, put the immigrant community at greater risk of crime. It forces ICE agents into the community, which puts ICE agents at danger, but it also puts the immigrant community at danger because when we find a bad guy, and we will, there's going to be others with him, others that weren't even on our radar. So what they're saying is they're going to force us in the neighborhood to arrest more illegal aliens than what we originally planned to do. So their idea is just, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, they're going to invite more federal strength into those communities, and you're just going to wind up grabbing more of them and deporting them. What AOC is saying, the answer is mass amnesty. I mean, it would save you a lot of work, but what do you say to her?
It's ridiculous. You're going to reward illegal behavior. You award amnesty, you're never going to fix the border.
I want to make one quick comment. Y'all remember on the mass amnesty, you hear a lot of Democrats talking about this now. Ronald Reagan himself drank this Kool-Aid. They were telling him, the Democrats were like, listen, we will seal the border, Mr. President Reagan, if you go ahead and grant amnesty to all the people that's in the country as of right now. And we all know how that worked out. He granted all the immigrants that were there illegally in the United States back in the 1980s when Reagan was in office. And guess what? When it was the Democrats' turn to do what they promised they would do, i.e. seal the border, it never happened. So these people are wise enough to know they're not going to drink that Kool-Aid anymore.
This country's shown over and over again that if you don't have consequences, they're going to keep coming. Warning amnesty means millions of them are going to come saying, look, I can cross the border legally. I can lose my case in front of an immigration judge and I still get to stay. And that's what people don't understand. People say mass deportation is a bad thing. No, we just had historic illegal crisis on the border. Millions of people crossed the border illegally. Every one of them committed a crime by crossing the border illegally. If you look at the border immigration stats, 9 out of 10 of them will get an order removal. They have to be executed because we don't execute those orders. Then what the hell are we doing, Jesse? Just shut down the immigration court. Doesn't mean anything anymore. Take the border patrol off the border because there's no consequences. The law is clear. Now, we'll give you a due process. You can have your day in court, but when your order removed, you're going to leave and we're going to make you leave.
Are you going to deport doctors? They're saying that there's going to be migrant doctors in the middle of surgery and ICE is just going to be dragging them out in their scrubs. Have you heard of that happening?
I have never heard of that.
You're going to always start seeing the fear from the woke Democrats. I mean, what else do you expect, ladies and gentlemen? You're going to hear that fear from them all the time. They're going to try to cause mass hysteria to all Americans, make us just fearful as possible that we're going to have these families hauled off and put in change and separated and all this other stuff. And they've been very clear. President Donald Trump elect's been very clear. This gentleman's been clear. Hoffman, he's been very clear. We're going to focus on the individuals that are a threat to our country. They either have a deportation order that a judge has heard their case, their asylum claim, whatever, and the judge has said, you must return to your country, and then they simply do not do that. Additionally, they're going to prioritize individuals who have broken the law or are clearly in some type of game, like that Trans de la Raga from Venezuela. That is where they're going to put the focus, and that's where the focus should be. I found this clip on Fox News today. They did a poll concerning who would you vote for president. If you can imagine this, they're already talking about 2028. Interesting how many people in this particular poll said they would consider Kamala Harris. This will be good for a quick chuckle.
According to a new poll, Kamala Harris is now the 2028 frontrunner. The word salad queen who fumbled the ball and couldn't articulate a single policy without telling us about her being a middle-class kid, garnering 41%, with Gavin Newsom coming in second. It's been 2 weeks. Is Kamala Harris going to get a third shot in 2028 from the Democrats?
I would doubt it. I mean, this is usually how it goes.
Yeah, I can sum this up for us.
I think it's
really quick. No way. I'm pretty confident to go on record right now. Kamala Harris will not be the Democratic nominee in 2028. Almost absolutely guarantee that is not going to happen, period. You guys agree with that? I don't see how that's going to possibly happen. If she would have been in any type of primary, a normal primary, there's no way the Democrats would vote her to the top of the ticket. As a matter of fact, back in, 2019, when she was running to be the Democratic nominee, she didn't even make it to Iowa. She dropped out before Iowa. She just effectively garnered no support whatsoever. So I don't know what they're talking about, but it could just be people still upset because of the election. It's still kind of early. This clip here, we have to take a quick look at. This is our now President Joe Biden as Senator Biden back in 2007. And you know how he just authorized missiles to be fired into Russia. And by the way, I got a clip coming up of Britain doing exactly the same thing. In this particular clip, you have then Senator Joe Biden saying unofficially, saying directly, clearly, that if a president was to do this, they would have committed an impeachable offense by authorizing U.S. supplied and targeted missiles to attack the sovereign country of Russia. So I think you'll find this interesting.
But I want to ask you about something you've been involved with. You said that if the President of the United States had launched an attack on Iran without congressional approval, that would have been an impeachable offense. Do you want to review that comment you made? Well, how do you stand on that now?
Yes,
do you think
I do. I want to stand by that comment I made. The reason I made the comment was as a warning. The reason I don't say those things lightly, Chris. You've known me for a long time. I was chairman of the Judiciary Committee for 17 years, or its ranking member. I teach separation of powers and constitutional law. This is something I know. So I got together and brought a group of constitutional scholars together to write a piece that I'm going to do.
Well, it's funny how time changes, ain't it? When he's president, he has a different take on these matters. I just have to believe he cannot be wanting to start World War III. I'm just guessing from what I know. He clearly thinks he has no choice but to do this, in part because you have Russia that is bringing anywhere from 10 to 15,000 troops right now from North Korea. You have Iran supplying Russia with a ton of drones. That's where they've been getting the drones to attack Ukraine really on a daily basis. So he probably feels, ladies and gentlemen, that he has no choice. He's got to do something. He's got to level the playing field. That's the only thing that makes any sense in my mind whatsoever. But time will tell. And I have to hope that he is somehow coordinating this with President Trump-elect and that these guys are singing from the same sheet of music, because otherwise it's just too dangerous either way. We're going to talk about, because I got some clips on this here, you have Representative Nancy Mason. Listen, she has some type of history of sexual assault or sexual abuse of some sort. So she's very sensitive to this. And we have this new member of Congress that's going to be coming in that's transgender. And then she says on her page here on X, it says, Mace remains unapologetic in the face of bigotry and transphobia accusations. Mace faces backlash over effort to ban new transgender member of Congress. And we're going to see the clips of that coming up here very soon, because you got everybody trying to hammer her over. She's got a bill that she's introduced, and also Mike Johnson in breaking news has said definitively that the policy of the House is going to be, if you're a man, use the men's bathroom, women use the women's bathroom. So we'll see how that all plays out. Matter of fact, here is the press release I was looking for. This is from Charlie Kirk, and he says, breaking. This is just a few hours ago. Speaker Mike Johnson has just announced that men are banned from the women's bathrooms and locker rooms in the Capitol and House office building. He goes on to say, women deserve women's only spaces. Boom. And here's the press release on my X site if you're interested in reading it. Isn't it amazing that we even have to talk about something like that? It's really, really shameful. In honor of our President Biden, here he is on his 80th birthday. I'm going to turn the volume down because this clip's a little loud for whatever reason. But this is him, according to C-SPAN, on his 82nd birthday. Happy birthday, Mr. President. Let me just mute that because it's actually got the plane engines on the back. He does not look like he's all there, does he? And then look at him as he's walking. He's not even responding to questions. Look how he walks his game. And folks, the reality is, obviously he's president of the United States. I only wish him well. And I definitely hope he's able to make it to January 20th. The alternative in a President Kamala Harris is extremely troubling, extremely scary. But we'll have to see exactly how this plays out. Clearly, this man cannot make it another 4 years. I just think it's incredulous for anybody to even suggest that on any level. Let me catch up on the comments really quickly here, see if I see any questions. And Zach got President Biden a beach chair and umbrella for his birthday. That's very thoughtful. It's very thoughtful of you. And American Anna, President Trump will shut down Federal Reserve to these states. I'm sure he's going to do something to have the leverage to make sure these states comply with the federal authorities. This is already law in the United States that if we have a situation going on where you basically have a de facto invasion, the president has full authority. It goes all the way back to the 1700s to take action and defend the country. I mean, I really think it's just that simple. I don't know why that's so controversial. It is exactly what it is. So let's see what else we got here. Jesse Waters was saying, what if the doctors are illegal immigrants? Yeah, he just using what it is. You got these woke individuals going around scaring people, saying that a doctor might be doing surgery on somebody, and they show up and they're hauling them off in the middle of the surgery. Just utter nonsense. These people are crazy and nuts, and they will do anything they can to try to scare the bejesus out of each and every one of us. So I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Here's a statement by U.S. Senator John Fetterman. Remember, he's from Pennsylvania. He's the guy that originally had that stroke. Sometimes he actually has a common sense to him on certain levels. It's not always now. I want to be clear. He doesn't always have the common sense that we want in our senator and our elected members. But he's talking about the bathrooms. He goes, it says, news, Senator Fetterman says Republican-elect McBride is welcome to use his personal bathroom. The senator says, there's no job I'm afraid to lose if it requires me to degrade anyone. If that's a defining issue for a voter, then there will be a different candidate. We have a bathroom in my office that anybody's welcome to use, including Representative-elect Sarah McBride. Okay, well then, problem solved. You can have him and her bathrooms and John Fetterman's bathroom. They can market for transgenders. I think that's sounds easy peasy to me. I included this clip right here folks, I know there's a lot of you that live up north and have natural gas in your home, and I have a lot of experience in the heating and air conditioning industry. It is very true, very dangerous that natural gas is extremely dangerous. And if this is the same story I'm thinking about, they had a heating and air repairman that I think he lived through this, at least initially. I'm not sure exactly what the current report is on him, but they found him and his hair, of course, was blown off. He's not in good shape. But natural gas is very dangerous. If you smell natural gas, you need to definitely alert the authorities, and don't take anything for granted, because it is dangerous. Here it is right here. Boom. And I think they've had 2 or 3 of these, from what I understand, that have happened in just the last few days. It is extremely dangerous. So just a J.R. Dukes public service announcement. Y'all seen Jay Leno? Take a look at our buddy Jay Leno. Now, he's okay, so let me tell you that on the front end. But, you know, Jay Leno, he's kind of an adventurous type of guy. And he went right back to work after this happened. So he fell down a rock slide, something like 60 or 80 feet. Says Jay Leno's been seriously injured again after the comedian said he fell down a hill at Hampton Inn. So he had a long fall down a hill, and I'm happy to report he's okay. But he used to be patched up, had a patch on his eye because his rock had some scratches or injuries from the rocks that he hit as he was sliding down. It wasn't that long ago. Jay Leno was having an issue with some engine he was working on. It caught on fire. He likes to work on old vehicles and fix them up. And then before that, he also suffered some other type of burn from another accident. He's had 2 or 3 events. Well, this is his 3rd event, and he's expected to make a full recovery. And of course, we wish Jay Leno well. I've always liked old Jay Leno, so we'll see how that goes. Good news too. We had the committee meet there today pertaining to Matt Gaetz, and this is a clip of them leaving. And the last published report I can find, they've decided, rightfully so, not to called investigation pertaining to Representative Matt Gaetz. I should say former representative. Now, Matt Gaetz is a former member of the House of Representatives, and it's always been their policy. It's not like it's special treatment. And again, that's what you got the libs all over the place saying, is that they're trying to hide something, that they should release the report, but it's been the long-standing tradition of the House. They don't release reports on ex-members. Now, I think there is some justice or some credibility to people that are thinking there could be a little bit of something going on here. And there could be. I really don't know. But here's the possibilities. The fact that Matt Gaetz resigned right before the report was about to come out, it could be the fact that he did that in an effort to make sure that the report did not see the light of day. I mean, that is a possibility. He could have stayed in Congress and not resigned until sometime in January, but he chose to resign right away. And it just happened to be right before they were going to take a vote to release this allegedly bad report for Matt Gaetz. Now, the counter to that is another reason Matt Gaetz resigned so quickly was because he wanted to start the clock ticking where Florida Governor Ron DeSantis could quickly appoint another Republican member to serve in his spot, or at least they could have the election. As a matter of fact, the governor cannot appoint a representative. It has to have an election, but you can't have the election for something like 8 weeks. So that's the reason why he wanted to get the clock started so they could have an election quickly, hopefully first part of January, somewhere in there, and then have a member head to the House, and hopefully it would be another Republican member, because I think his district is heavily Republican. So that's the rumor mill right there. And the allegation is that if it's true, and it is like a red herring type thing, Matt Gaetz was put up for 2 things: to save him from having to suffer the embarrassment of this report, and number 2, that he would be kind of like a sacrificial lamb. In other words, there would be everybody be looking at him, and then the other appointees that were appointed by President-elect Trump would be easier to tolerate. Does that make any sense? That if Matt Gaetz had to go to the cross, so to speak, and it was not confirmed, the other people would be more likely to get through. At least that's what the allegations are. My opinion is there's probably nothing there. It's probably a legitimate nomination. I think Matt Gaetz would make a fantastic head of the Department of Justice, aka the Attorney General. But I could be wrong, and when I think something, I'll let you know it, because it's not just the Democrats that play games. Both parties play games. Sometimes you got to play games. That's part of the. That's just part of whatever happens that is happening. So let's continue on here. Okay, yeah, Jim, thanks for joining the conversation today. And yeah, God bless Jay Leno. You're exactly right, American Nana. And let's see, Jim, Gaetz is currently out until next session. I thought he resigned, Jim. That's the reports that I heard, that he actually resigned from the House of Representatives. Had he not resigned, they would have released this report in all likelihood. That's the reason why they had that special meeting today. But if you have information to the contrary, be sure to put it in the chat, and I will take a look at whatever link that you have. But my understanding, again, is that the fact is he has indeed resigned. He's former Representative Matt Gaetz. But if I'm wrong on that, let me know. Thanks for the information, Jim. Appreciate you being here. All right, JR, have you seen the clip of Matt Gaetz talking about Republicans using inside trading? I've seen some clips on that. There's a lot of clips on Matt Gaetz. If you want to send me that link, I'd be happy to look at it. Or you can email it to me at my email address, reachjrdukes@gmail.com, or you can text it to me. I think my email at the bottom. I'll make sure I add it on there for you guys. But you can always send it to me via X. You can send it to me via email. You can text it to me, or you can type it in the chat if you have something here. So, all right. I'm glad there is a good, robust conversation going on. Yeah, he did resign. I thought that was the case. He's definitely checked out of Congress. And of course, because he is a former member of Congress, they are not obligated to release the report. But thanks for that information, Jim. Appreciate you joining the conversation. We had our president, Donald Trump, on the X platform. Normally he posts solely, or I should say mostly, on True Social, but this time here, President Donald Trump occasionally has a new best friend, aka Elon Musk, and he also uses his site, which is a good idea. Plus, there's a lot of people that use X. X is definitely a bigger platform than True Social is right now anyways. But the release from President Trump says the Democrats are trying to stack the courts with radical left justice on their way out the door. Republican senators need to show up and hold the line. No more judges confirmed before Election Day. And folks, this is a serious issue right here, because they're doing exactly what the president is telling us they're doing. They're putting these woke liberal judges. They're trying to elect to the bench on their way out the door. Now, the good news is people like Senator Kennedy, and I have a couple clips from him. If time allows, we're going to get to them. But Senator Kennedy, for example, he is really holding these individuals to task. One of the judges that I was listening to from John Kennedy basically required, now get this isn't a courtroom. He requires you to show up and tell everybody what your pronouns are before you address the court or the jury. Is that not absolutely insane? And yes, you heard me right. That's exactly what that judge was requiring people to do. Unbelievable. President Trump also made a comment concerning Lincoln Riley. Thank God that that creep was convicted today in a court of law in Georgia. And in part, let's read what the president said. Justice for Lincoln Riley, the illegal who killed our beloved Lincoln Riley, was found guilty on all counts of this horrific crime. Although the pain and heartbreak will last forever, hopefully this can help bring some peace and closure to her wonderful family who fought for justice, and to ensure that other families don't have to go through what they have. We love you, Lincoln, and our hearts will always be with you. It is time to secure our border and remove these criminals and thugs from our country so nothing like this ever happens again. And all I can say to that is amen. I am definitely on board with the president. And then, of course, he posted what we just read about these radical judges have to be stopped. And I hope all the Republicans band together and do just that. Anna Paulina Luna, who represents a district not too far from me, right over here in St. Pete, she's come forward. She's talking about it's unfortunate It's unfortunately business as usual in Washington when people's reputations are destroyed simply because they are change makers. And of course, she's talking about former Representative Matt Gaetz
making allegations. President Trump wants people who know how to message to the American people. And also remember, it's not just any one secretary position and pick or cabinet pick that's running the entire show. There's an entire team behind them. So I think so far he's made it known that his picks are going to fight for the American people, but also they're not coming to Washington to play games and just do business as usual. And so frankly, I've been very impressed with the picks, but as you're seeing, his picks are coming under fire, especially with these people that are now making allegations. And so I've been very vocal, especially on his nomination of Representative Matt Gaetz as the Attorney General, that Matt would be an incredible representative. I think it's completely wrong.
I don't know why it matters, but she sure is a beautiful woman. So just FYI, if you didn't notice, but she's also very intelligent. I think she represents her district very well. And it is unfortunate that all these allegations are being launched against Matt Gaetz. Those of you who have watched my channel for some time know I have not been always very happy with Matt Gaetz, especially pertaining to when he ousted the former Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy. I was not happy with that fiasco, and I don't think it won him many friends in the House or Senate for that matter. Again, that's in the past. I like Matt Gaetz. He's highly intelligent, highly competent. Some of the clips and videos I've seen of him as far as questioning witnesses and other people, this is one sharp guy. I'm not sure if he's going to be confirmed or not, but let's hope, let's pray that he makes it in there. You may remember that story out of Pennsylvania where you have these Democrat holdings, these Democrat counties. They're coming out directly and saying, hey, we're going to go ahead and do this recount that's mandated by Pennsylvania law pertaining to the two senators running for that Senate seat. It looks like Bob Casey, the incumbent of about 30 years, is going to lose that particular seat. Well, there's a little bit of movement that's been coming on here. It says breaking: a citizen of Bucks County, Pennsylvania, just exposed the commissioners who voted to count the illegal ballots to help the Democrats cheat. She told them she filed for criminal prosecutions against them. So we're going to take a quick look at this clip. This will be interesting to see how this plays out. Remember, the Supreme Court in Pennsylvania, which governs the elections in the state of Pennsylvania, said you cannot count certain ballots that are not signed, they're not dated properly, whatever the standard criteria is, you can't do it. But yet you had commissioners, these council people, saying that I don't care what the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania says. I know what we're going to do. And that's exactly what she did. She decided that she knows better than the Supreme Court. Folks, if we don't have rule of law,
Title 25,
we don't have nothing in this country, absolutely nothing, except anarchy. You have to have a rule of law. We may not like it, but the rule of law is what has to govern us. Otherwise, we're all in deep trouble. But let's listen to this for a second.
Last Thursday, when you were deciding that you should count illegal ballots, missing at least one signature, the attorney said over and over again that it is illegal to count these. Diane said, quote, precedent by a court doesn't matter anymore in this country, and people violate the laws anytime they want.
It's crazy.
So for me, if I violate this law, it's because I want a court to pay attention to me. You, being the slick politician you are, you didn't even say yes or nod your head. Your eyes were closed and your face was expressionless. Bob, this was your opportunity to be a leader. You could have put a big brotherly arm around her and said, there, Diane. I know you're very passionate about this, but we have to follow the law. You could have done this, but oh no, what did you do? You voted to violate the law along with her. Diane's actually right, though. The law doesn't matter anymore in this country because people like you violate it all the time, and all we the people do is sit here and complain. Well, I want to let you know that I'm not going to take it anymore. I have decided to file a criminal complaint against both of you for breaking the following laws.
Well, isn't that fantastic news? We'll see how that plays out, and hopefully they have a change of heart and decide to start counting the votes correctly and properly. Now, I promised you a couple clips on Senator John Kennedy, and if you haven't paid much attention to his clips. He's normally very hilarious. He's very witty, very wise in the way he questions. And, he's questioning these potential judges that the Democrats are trying to push through on the way out the door. And it says here, this is on John Kennedy's actual X page. He says, Benjamin Cheeks argues that illegal immigrants who break our law, quote, deserve a pass from prosecution. This is one of the people that want to be a judge on the appeals court. Can you believe this? If Democrats make him a federal judge, he is going to follow the law fairly or make whatever decisions feel right to him, regardless of what the law says. That's the question he poses to him. So let's listen for a second.
In May of 2019, you remember writing an article for a publication, the title of the article, excuse me. The title of your article in which you say you didn't take a position was called The Federal Dungeon Part 2, Court Proceedings. You remember that?
I do.
Okay. And you were talking about, it was then under President Trump, not President Biden. The Department of Justice then had a zero tolerance for illegal entry into the United States, because that, of course, is the law. And this is what you said about that. Quote, technically, the law was broken, but these particular defendants, poor, hungry, hardworking, and not dangerous, deserve a pass from prosecution. End quote.
These are the kind of people they're trying to put on the courts,
illegal immigration should not be criminalized as a position, is it not?
It is. What I'd like to add is that everything that I wrote while I was an advocate, not a sitting judge.
Oh, I see. That makes a difference. Did you mean it when you wrote it?
That's a good question.
When I wrote it,
did you mean it?
I meant it when I wrote it, because
okay, but you don't mean it now.
I do not mean it now.
So if you take off your advocate hat today, do you have your advocate hat on today?
I am no longer an advocate. I'm a sitting magistrate judge.
Okay, so you don't tell the truth when you're an advocate, but you do when you're not. Is it okay to lie if you're an advocate?
I don't follow the question.
Well, the way he should explain that, is when I'm younger and I'm an advocate, I was kind of Pollyannish in my thinking. And since I took the oath as a judge, I have taken an oath to follow the law, and that's what I do. And that's what he should have responded. But apparently he does not know how to answer these type of questions, my friends. Doesn't seem like a very witty judge to me, but I digress. So, and of course, we know that the Lincoln Riley case fortunately had a good conclusion. I'm very happy about that. As far as it had as good of a conclusion as it possibly could have had, considering that she had died as a result of that illegal immigrant trying to attempt to, to her. Have to be careful because of moderation considerations on YouTube, and I don't want it to be penalized for any particular reason. All right, here's another deal from End Wokeness. Representative Crockett. White people were never oppressed because they came here willingly. You guys know that this race nonsense really bugs the you-know-what out of me. I really wish we lived in a society now that would just no longer tolerate this type of talk, this type of speech. It's inappropriate. These identity politics don't work. It doesn't work as we have just shown in this last election. I don't know why certain people in certain communities think that they are a victim, and they allow themselves to maintain this identity that says I'm a victim. When you are a victim, you're going to stay a victim. What everybody needs to do is work and, based on their own merit, pull themselves up by their bootstraps. It's just that simple. We all are equal under the law, but there's no such thing, ladies and gentlemen, as real equity. It sounds good on paper, but we have a word for that. We call it socialism, or even worse, communism. And it's really just that simple. This is not rocket science. This particular lady needs to stop doing this nonsense.
You can then misuse words like oppression. There has been no oppression for the white man in this country. You tell me which white men were dragged out of their homes. You tell.
Well, you've heard enough. I know it's a little bit low on the volume there, but she's basically what I just said, that white people don't know what repression is, which is just another crock. It seems like it never ends with these people, right? It's a constant, never-ending thing. Here's another clip of the victim, the victimhood, the victim mentality that a lot of these woke liberals have. You have CNN complaining that people are comparing Trump, Elon Musk, RFK, Tulsi Gabbard to superheroes. I'd be darned, you can't compare them to superheroes. What's the matter with you? That's insane.
Now you're looking at me like
they just
look at this.
They listen. I have to talk about this stuff because we just have to point out the stupidity.
Right now, coming in live, we got Musk there. We got I don't recognize everybody. There's
look like superheroes to me, don't they? To you guys?
Of Tennessee, who is also thought to possibly have a position coming in the administration. Senator Ted Cruz on the left with the shades. Is that Ronnie Jackson on the right with the hat? I can't really tell. What do you make of this? They fashion themselves on social media as this legion of superheroes, this incoming administration.
This was yesterday
Tulsi
at
Gabbard,
the
Robert F. Kennedy Jr.,
rocket
et cetera,
launch
et cetera.
that Elon Musk
we're
had
adding
over at SpaceX.
Pictures and names. I know you now you're looking at me like you mean the Legion of Doom.
It's the Marvel universe versus second-rate DC, but that's.
I mean, if I understood what that meant, I would probably have a better opinion about it. But if we're talking about like
Musk, talk to me about Musk. What do you think about the role he's playing in this administration?
Listen, this is one of the most successful people that the world has ever known, and the ability to build businesses and think outside the box and be an entrepreneur. That's a voice that the president really values. But when you look at this totality, this kind of theme that they all think they're superheroes now, there's a little bit more swagger with the Republican Party now because they did win the White House, the House, and the Senate.
Yeah, you bet your life on that. I don't know about you. I felt like I've had a little more swagger lately. How about you, ladies and gentlemen? The same way? It feels good to win, right? I'm not going to listen to someone criticize me because I have a little more swagger, or I feel good because our country is moving in the right direction. I think that is that's something to celebrate. That's something good. And I, for one, am not going to apologize for that or kind of tamper down my enthusiasm. Here's the clip, and then I got to move on to another subject. But this clip here is one of the ones I've been talking about of just how smart Matt Gaetz is. It says future Attorney General Matt Gaetz went on The View and single-handedly schooled them all. And you guys know how difficult The View can be. So let's listen to Matt Gaetz. This was obviously taken some years ago, but it's still a pretty good clip. As a matter of fact, that is Meghan McCain. Let me minimize myself down to the bottom so you can see this for yourself. Remember John McCain's daughter? She's no longer on The View, but she posts on X every once in a while. And we'll listen to Matt Gaetz give them a schooling.
Can we agree that perhaps that pardon power needs to be reviewed and curbed?
So, great question. In Federalist 74, Alexander Hamilton writes that the reason we have the pardon power is to serve as a check on a criminal justice system, which, if allowed to run wild, could create a great sense of.
When he's talking about these Federalist Papers, just so you know, these are basically papers, a group of papers that our nation has, that has the thoughts and the views of our founding fathers when they were drafting and coming up with the Constitution. We routinely go to these papers to kind of see what their mindset was when they wrote something in the Constitution, or what they were worried about, or what they were happy about, or whatever the situation is. It's kind of it's not necessarily legally significant, but it gives judges, the Supreme Court, or even attorneys like Matt Gaetz at this time, a way to look into the minds of our founding fathers and see why they did what they did. And that's what he's talking about.
Of sanguinity in our country. And so I think that if you look at the original intent of the pardon power, it cannot be limited. And again, Trump has pardoned 26 people. Obama pardoned over 1,700. Bill Clinton pardoned 459.
So the answer to the question is what?
I would agree that Roger Stone should be pardoned if for no other reason that there's been a double standard in this country where people like Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, Andrew McCabe, Clapper, Brennan have not faced consequences.
Can I just ask you, how about Rob Blagojevich, who flees like a children's hospital. Was that a good pardon?
I'll be honest with you. I don't know very much about the governor of Illinois. I'm not going to get into that one. I know Roger. I don't know Blago. And
I like, my personal opinion, I like the former governor of Illinois, Rod. Let's see, Jay Leno used to call him Rod, the son of a bitch. So I always thought that was kind of cute. But I like old Rod. I think he's a good man. He's definitely a good man now, and he tries to do a lot of good work. And of course, he is a fierce and ardent supporter of President-elect Donald Trump. I will continue this feed a little bit later. I want to show us one more thing that I think you'll find interesting. It's kind of a good news thing. I like to always try to end on some kind of good news here. And let me move over to this. Now, y'all remember back during COVID, of course, we all do, right? Well, take a look at this. This is a woman, and I remember this very, very clearly. She was sent to jail by a judge in the great state of Texas. This was in Dallas, Texas at the time. And what it was, her crime, ladies and gentlemen, was that she opened up her salon. That's what she did. She opened her salon. And of course, she was sent to jail over it. I remember the judge at the time saying, look, you are unreasonable. You're thoughtless. You're only thinking of yourself. You should be ashamed of yourself. People are sick. People are dying. She's like, Judge, I have a business. I have to work. I have to earn money. No, we know better. You're stingy. You're selfish. You're a terrible person. Well, let's take a quick review of this. I want to make sure everybody understands exactly what happened here and the good news here. And we're going to take a look at this quick video. Her name is Shelley Luther, and it ends on a really good note. Trust me, really good. Shelley Luther, former Dallas salon owner, jailed during COVID, wins her Texas House District 62 seat. Isn't that amazing? And I want to give just a little more information on this here. Not only did she win her district, and she's now a member of the House as far as the state of Texas is concerned, on a state level, she actually had a brain aneurysm a year ago. So she survived a brain aneurysm. I'm looking at my notes here on the computer here. And let's see what this was 4 years ago. Salon owner goes to jail. And as I just said, it ends with her actually winning the seat. So take a look at this story. I want to show you this first because here we go. This was originally what happened, and then we'll take a look at today.
Dallas stylist who opened early and in defiance of state orders, she learned her punishment for that today. Andrea Lucia reports.
Outside the courthouse, a small group of supporters gathered with flags and guns to watch the hearing on their phones and to cheer on Shelley Luther.
A determination has been made that you are in contempt of this court.
As you can see, we are still open.
The salon owner openly defied the governor's order that salons remain closed, ripped up a cease and desist letter from the county, and ignored a temporary restraining order from the court.
If you would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge that your actions were selfish, putting your own interests ahead of those of the community in which you live.
Judge Eric Moyer offered Luther a chance to avoid jail time. He asked if she would apologize, acknowledge she was wrong, and agree to shut down her business until Friday. But Luther would not yield.
I have to disagree with you, sir, when you say that I'm selfish, because feeding my kids is not selfish.
Amen.
I have hairstylists that are going hungry because they'd rather feed their kids. So, sir, if you think the law is more important than kids getting fed, then please go ahead with your decision, but I'm not going to shut the salon.
The judge sentenced her to serve 7 days in jail.
Take this defendant into custody, if you please.
1 day behind bars for each day her business opened its doors, while so many others stayed shut.
It's terrible, isn't it?
Well, tonight, Luther is here in the Dallas County Jail. The judge said Luther could not ignore the orders of elected officials simply.
Isn't that crazy? If you don't think that our liberties are tenuous, you just have to remind yourself of this particular story. And this is, in my opinion, absolutely maddening. It's extremely upsetting. I have thought of this story often, and it just needs to serve as a reminder for each and every one of us that, again, our rights are kind of like fickle. You know, they're on a day-to-day basis. Sure, we have a court system, we have a country, a Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, but our decision makers, our representatives, even our president, at times can make the wrong decision and not stand by us. Remember during COVID, it was the Supreme Court justice and Chief Roberts. He would not hear a case where these people wanted to go to church and worship. That was out of Colorado. He just simply refused to hear the case. So they were closing down churches, but they allowed liquor stores to stay open. Y'all remember that? Just absolutely unbelievable and outrageous. That's the reason why I feel it's extremely important to always shed a light on these types of cases. And like I said, she just won this seat, and we'll listen to this short
to the
clip.
Texas House now, and who will represent Grayson, Fannin, Delta, and Franklin counties in District 62. Republican Shelley Luther is your winner tonight. She defeated incumbent Reggie Smith in the primary and defeated Democrat Tiffany Drake tonight. Luther made headlines nationally when she was arrested during the pandemic for refusing to follow Texas Governor Greg Abbott's shutdown order. And after failed runs for both the Texas House and Senate, she wins tonight and is standing by with our Austin Hedgecoff.
That's right, guys. I'm here with Shelley Luther, who just won herself a seat in the Texas House. Now, Shelley, you've tried to run up here a couple times before, but tonight you finally got it done. What was different this time around?
I think the third time's the charm, but also there's a lot of issues going on in Austin that people really care about, and they wanted to get a different candidate in there. The people spoke, and now I'm here. I'm super excited.
All right, and so historically you've been pro-school vouchers. This district tends to be more pro-public schools.
Isn't that fantastic news?
So
just absolutely fantastic. Let that be a glimpse of inspiration for each and every one of us. It sure is for me. I think too often we only hear negative things that's in the news. And, you know, obviously in the wake of Donald Trump having this historic, fantastic, and awesome election, I just think this is kind of like the cherry on the top, because we have all these problems in Ukraine and we have all this nonsense now going on with Donald Trump's cabinet. To some degree, that's just part of life. We're always going to have these type issues. That's the reason why we have to keep fighting. Always, ladies and gentlemen, we have to keep putting up the good fight. And thankfully, Shelley here did just that. And I would say she had full, complete vindication. And it has all ended with her being elected to the House of Representatives in the great state of Texas. I think that's fantastic. I'm excited about it, and I hope you share in my excitement in this particular situation. Listen, I appreciate everybody joining me today. I'm going to start landing the plane. I'm going to try to come on in a couple hours and have another power hour with you guys. A lot of different news stories we need to get to and discuss, and we'll see how time allows. I want you to know I appreciate each and every one of you being here. I want to welcome all of my friends here today. Thanks to American Nana. Thank you, Zach, for being here. And of course, we have our new friend that also commented, Jim H. Thank you for being here. So you are our new best friend for the day, Jim H. Appreciate you being here. Folks, if you haven't done so already, please hit the thumbs up, subscribe. It helps the algorithm, pushes this video out to other people so we can grow our family of free-minded men and women that are here trying to make a difference in our country and a difference in our life to live our best life possible. And God bless each and every one of you. God bless you, American Nana, Zach, my new friend Jim H., and everyone else who is viewing on the X platform, Twitch, and of course, right here at our home on YouTube. I am J.R. Dukes, and I appreciate y'all taking time to hear what I have to say. I am always humbled by that. I like to always say, keep your mind free, never give up. Until next time, my friends, I am J.R. Dukes.